welcome from Transformative Schools, Alaina Daniels, founder and executive director.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm a teacher, so I wrote it down. I'm Alaina Daniels, the co-founder and executive director of Transformative Schools. As a history and science teacher, I know that for as long as people have existed, three things have always been true. 1, there are trans people. 2, there are boring assholes who try to make us not exist. And 3, they fail. Well, the words we use to describe ourselves and the weapons that they use to try to hurt us have changed over the centuries. One thing always remains the same. They can't stop us, no matter how hard they try. Let's be clear. Trans kids have always existed, and they have always known who they are. They just want to feel safe enough to tell us. But without adults who share their identities and who can serve as possibility models, without books that tell their stories, and without visible trans teachers and leaders, it's hard for them to share themselves, because like all students, they're still trying to figure out who they are. Transformative Schools aims to intervene in this problem. We don't want them to reflect back on what the adults could have done better. We want them to think back on all the things that were done to help them. At TFS, we are students, educators, families, organizers, authors, and researchers. We create laboratories, from the algebra classroom, to school board meetings, to the streets, where intergenerational trans communities learn together and create tools to read and write power, the tools we use to fight back. At TFS, we're a school of change that builds trans power and joy. In a time when trans kids are the target of fascists around the world, in the White House, and on our school boards right here in New York City, I want to use the rest of my time on this mic to invite you into the work of rising up and building a movement for trans power. Transformative Schools, NYC Pride, and Where We Stand and March Today are all located in New York's School District Number 2, the largest, wealthiest, and most influential of New York City's 32 public school districts. And as you probably know, each school district has a school board, which in New York City we call a Community Education Council, or CEC. 2 years ago, when we first turned NYC Pride's back storage room into a classroom, the majority of CEC2 was affiliated with the hate group Moms for Liberty. Thank you, that's the right answer. Can I hear a boo? Yeah. Backed by billionaire donors, they'd been building power in the district and across the city for several years. A year and a half ago, these bigots on CEC2 attempted to ban the books of one of the TFS authors, critical race scholar Dr. Megan Madison, because it told true stories about race and power. And if that's not enough, they also decided to go after trans kids by introducing Resolution 248, a thinly veiled attempt to use the debate about trans girls in sports to whip up a moral panic and attack the Department of Education's protections for trans kids, which I actually helped write back in 2017. Thank you. Since then, Transformative Schools and the Aunties and Friends for Liberation have been organizing, getting out the vote during school drop-off and pickup, and dancing hot to go at school board meetings to demand that the resolution be rescinded and that New York City build schools where trans kids, where immigrant kids, where all kids feel safe exactly as who they are. And guess what? 2 weeks ago, we won.
Yep.
I want to hear y'all say it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for that. I was on, we won. Thank you. Together, a bunch of gunkles, aunties, and childless cat ladies got NYC parents to vote most of the bigots off the board. Together, we proved that we can effectively fight the far right by engaging everyday people in hyper-local politics. A thing that Moms for Liberty and I actually agree upon is that there are many important forms of power, including stories, votes, ideas, math skills, money, and organizing. Using these tools, Moms for Liberty gained power by fighting to spend lots of money on gifted and talented programs, a thinly veiled excuse to segregate schools. They created a culture where in a school district with 1.1 million students, there are only 2 people whose job it is to support trans and queer youth, only 40 DOE staff who work with parents to govern schools, and over 4,000 cops. Right-wing organizing created a culture where just this week, NYC cisgender leadership found money to put 400 17-year-old baby cops in elementary schools, but they won't allow the 17-year-olds on the school board to vote. Do these sound like schools where our kids are safe?
No.
Do these sound like the schools our kids deserve?
No.
By effectively building power, Moms for Liberty created a culture where this weekend, NYC cisgender leadership accused Pride of discriminating against cops for not allowing them to march today while carrying guns. This same culture made it okay for NYC's entirely cisgender leadership to release a $116 billion budget that only adds $6.5 million for trans people, while our very lives are at risk. We need that money. We're really grateful for that money. And we also need so much more. And so I'm wondering, who all here is part of Team Cisgender? Raise your hand. That's it? There aren't more cisgender people in this room? Who's part of Team Cisgender? Raise your hand. Cool, thank you. We need you. We need you to email City Council. Tell them trans people need more to survive. We need you to come to the next school board meeting and bring a bunch of your cis friends. We need you to organize, and we need you in the streets. And most importantly, we need Team Cisgender working to support trans leaders as we build trans power. Survival's not enough. We need more. We deserve so much more. We deserve to have transgender city council members, trans rabbis, trans Supreme Court justices, trans physicists, trans doctors, and trans teachers. We deserve to have trans people leading this fight because we know more about transphobia and how to end it than we know more about transphobia and how to end it than cis people because we live it every day. Trans youth deserve to live in a world where they don't have to fight. But for now, I want all the trans youth to know that your adults will fight for you and that we will follow you when you want to lead. Because unlike us, you can imagine a world without limits. Unlike the adults, you are the future. And so I want to end with a promise. We will not stop building power until trans kids. We will not stop building trans power until all kids, from the Bronx River to Jamaica Bay, from the Hudson to the Rio Grande, and from every river to every sea, are free to just be kids who live, learn, thrive, love, and belong. Build trans power. Woo! When I say build, you say? Power. What kind of power, people?
Trans power.
When I can't quite hear you. When I say build, you say?
Trans power.
Build?
Trans power.
Build?